Queen Elizabeth says she wants Camilla, the Duchess of Cornwall, to be known as Queen Consort when Prince Charles becomes king. She made the announcement in a message marking the 70th anniversary of her reign.
The British monarchy has survived scandals, rivalries, and quiet power struggles that most of the world never sees, but nothing prepared palace staff for the moment. Tensions allegedly boiled over between Prince William and Queen Camilla. As stunned aides watched from the edges of the room, a tense confrontation reportedly forced King Charles into a decision that could reshape who truly holds influence behind palace walls. But did this rumored clash reveal a divide that has quietly deepened for years? Do you believe Prince William was right to challenge Camilla so directly? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And to help us keep uncovering the stories the palace would rather keep hidden, please subscribe. William draws the line. The tension inside the palace had been building long before a single sharp word was spoken. A private planning meeting had officially concluded, yet several senior aides lingered near the doorway, waiting for the final word on an upcoming royal engagement that many considered unusually important. In the royal household, these engagements are never treated as ordinary appearances. They quietly decide who represents the crown, who is placed at the center of public attention, and who is trusted to carry the monarchy's image during a delicate moment of transition. Every choice sends a message, and everyone in that room understood exactly what was at stake. The unease grew the instant a last-minute change to the arrangements was raised to an outsider. Adjusting who appears alongside the king at a major event might seem trivial. Inside the palace, however, proximity is power, and every position reflects status, trust, and the direction the monarchy intends to take. Prince William reportedly asked, in a measured and controlled voice, why the plan had been altered without the usual consultation. His words were calm and respectful, yet they carried enough weight to make the room fall completely silent. Camilla, according to those present, immediately sensed something deeper beneath the question. It no longer sounded like a request for clarification. It felt like a challenge to her growing role, raised in front of the very people whose loyalty mattered most. What made the moment even more uncomfortable was how naturally the staff seemed to look toward William, not because he demanded it, but because he now represents the monarchy's future. That quiet authority only sharpened the tension. The aides stood frozen, avoiding eye contact, sensing they were witnessing far more than a disagreement over scheduling. This had quietly become a question of influence, direction, and who would help shape the crown in the years to come. Then, according to reports, the restraint finally cracked. Unable to hold back her frustration, Camilla allegedly accused William of undermining her position and questioning her judgment in front of the household. The words seemed to echo through the room. William reportedly did not raise his voice in return. He simply held her gaze, composed and unmoved, which somehow made the moment feel heavier still. King Charles could not ignore what had unfolded. The silence that followed was almost unbearable. Realizing the exchange had crossed into dangerous territory, he reportedly brought the discussion to an abrupt halt and asked every member of staff to leave, keeping only William and Camilla behind. As the aides quietly withdrew, one final glance revealed something unexpected. Charles no longer looked like a man trying to soothe a family disagreement. His expression suggested genuine concern, not only for his wife, but for what the household had just witnessed. In that instant, many believe he understood the real danger was not the argument itself. It was that the monarchy's unity had visibly fractured in front of those sworn to protect it. But what hidden incident pushed emotions to this breaking point? And could a single overlooked decision have triggered the most surprising royal clash yet? Keep watching as we uncover the moment that reportedly started it all, the hidden decision. Every lasting divide inside the royal family often begins with a single quiet moment that seems unimportant at the time. There are no raised voices and no dramatic scenes, yet those present sense that something has shifted. For Prince William and Queen Camilla, many believe one such moment unfolded during private discussions about the future public role of the next generation. What appeared to be a routine conversation about long-term planning reportedly became a subtle test of influence, and neither side was willing to give ground. The discussion, according to sources, touched on how much visibility certain younger royals should be given in the years ahead, and how tradition should guide those decisions. Within the palace, questions like these are never treated lightly. They quietly determine how the monarchy will present itself long after the current reign, and everyone involved understands the stakes. Camilla reportedly believed the evolving plans reflected her steady rise within the household and the trust the king had placed in her. William, however, was said to view the future of his own children as a matter that belonged first and foremost to him and Princess Catherine. William reportedly studied the proposed arrangements carefully before raising his concerns. It did not take long for those nearby to notice his expression change. He remained calm, yet experienced staff understood he had spotted something he was not prepared to let pass quietly. Without creating unnecessary drama, he reportedly pointed out that decisions about the next generation should not be shaped without the direct involvement of their parents. His words were measured and grounded in a father's instinct rather than personal rivalry. He did not criticize Camilla directly. Instead, he focused entirely on protecting a boundary he considered non-negotiable. That calm approach reportedly made the moment even more uncomfortable. Camilla is said to have responded with a polite smile, but those watching noticed the tension beneath it. The disagreement had taken place in front of household staff, whose respect she had hoped to strengthen. Even more difficult, the officials in the room reportedly seemed to defer to William's view without waiting for further guidance, quietly revealing whose judgment carried greater weight when the future of the monarchy was involved. Word of the exchange is said to have spread carefully among senior staff, and Camilla reportedly sensed that the balance of influence had subtly shifted. What began as a simple difference of opinion now felt deeply personal, leaving a wound that reportedly changed how she approached every disagreement that followed. But that discussion was only the beginning. Before long, William would reportedly confront Camilla again, in an even more surprising exchange. What pushed the future king to challenge the Queen a second time? Stay glued to your screen. Duty versus ambition. The second confrontation reportedly did not begin with anger. It began with a heavy silence that seemed to settle over the entire room. Prince William quietly placed his papers on the table while palace staff exchanged uneasy glances. Everyone could feel that something was about to happen. Camilla noticed the tension too, and King Charles reportedly looked between them with growing concern, as though he already feared the meeting would unravel. What should have been a routine discussion suddenly carried an unmistakable weight. William reportedly asked calmly why a significant decision had been finalized without his office being informed. It sounded like a simple question, but within the royal household, it carried enormous meaning. The decision touched on responsibilities, public roles, and the delicate balance of authority as the monarchy prepares for the future. If choices of that scale could be made without proper communication, it raised serious questions about who was truly guiding the crown's direction behind the scenes. Before Charles could respond, Camilla reportedly stepped in and addressed William directly. The move instantly changed the atmosphere. Staff watched in complete silence, aware they were no longer witnessing an ordinary disagreement, but a quiet contest between the monarchy's present and its future. At first, Camilla's voice reportedly remained steady, but with each sentence, her frustration became harder to conceal. She allegedly suggested that William had never fully accepted the role she had earned, and that he used tradition and protocol to question her standing, while insisting it was only about principle. William reportedly refused to match her emotion. He remained composed, meeting every remark with calm restraint. The steadier he stayed, the more the contrast between them filled the room. He understood exactly what was at stake. Every advisor and official present was listening, and a single emotional reply could turn a private disagreement into a lasting story, so he chose discipline over drama. Finally, Camilla reportedly claimed that William hid his ambition behind talk of duty, making others feel unwelcome, while presenting himself as the guardian of tradition. William reportedly allowed the accusation to settle before delivering a quiet reply that stopped the room cold. Duty, he reportedly said, is the only reason the crown still stands. The words were soft, but they carried the weight of a lifetime spent preparing for a responsibility he never chose but fully accepted. No one spoke. Every eye slowly turned toward King Charles, waiting to see how he would respond to the widening divide between his wife and his son. But how would Charles react after witnessing this clash? And could his decision shape the future of the monarchy itself? Keep watching to find out. The king's breaking point. The room reportedly fell silent the moment King Charles rose from his chair. Every pair of eyes turned toward him. His expression had shifted entirely. This was no longer a husband trying to calm a family dispute. This was the monarch stepping forward to protect the dignity of the crown. Camilla reportedly looked at him with quiet confidence, perhaps expecting him to defend her as he had so often before. She may have believed he would suggest William had gone too far, or ask everyone to move past what had happened. But the look on Charles's face reportedly shattered that expectation. There was no reassurance waiting for her. Instead, she reportedly saw a king quietly arriving at a decision that could change everything. Inside the royal family, personal disagreements rarely remain private for long. Every emotional clash eventually becomes a question of leadership and trust. The monarchy endures because its leader knows when to draw a firm line, even when doing so brings personal pain. Charles reportedly found himself caught between two impossible choices. He could shield the wife who had stood beside him through years of criticism, or he could protect the son who represents the institution's entire future. Supporting one seemed certain to wound the other. Still carrying the weight of the moment, Charles reportedly withdrew to his study, where a senior official quietly delivered a calm, factual account of everything that had unfolded. What made the summary powerful, according to sources, was not dramatic language, but its restraint. Every detail had been recorded plainly, from the sharp words to William's composure, painting a picture that was difficult to set aside. Charles reportedly understood this was no longer just a painful family matter. Staff had watched a tense confrontation at the very top of the monarchy, and if nothing followed, it could suggest that discipline within the crown depended on personal loyalty rather than responsibility. Meanwhile, William reportedly stayed far from the growing speculation. He never demanded an outcome and never tried to turn the moment into a campaign. His quiet restraint only deepened the contrast, and Charles reportedly understood that better than anyone. But what was the king's final decision, and would it change the future of the monarchy forever? Stay tuned. The king's quiet judgment. King Charles reportedly made no dramatic announcement, there was no heated meeting, and no public statement. Instead, according to sources, he asked to speak with Camilla alone. The tension that had filled the palace refused to fade, and once the room emptied, Charles reportedly made one thing unmistakably clear. In his eyes, William had never been the person who needed correcting. The real concern was the monarchy itself. What troubled him most was not the disagreement between two people he loved, but the fact that the household had witnessed division at the very top of the institution. For a few painful moments, uncertainty had replaced unity, and that was something a king could never afford to ignore. Charles reportedly admitted to himself that he had hesitated before stepping in, and that brief delay had allowed the tension to grow. To him, leadership meant restoring calm immediately, and he reportedly believed he had fallen short. His honesty reportedly struck Camilla harder than any sharp reply could have. As she listened, her frustration slowly gave way to reflection. She reportedly confessed that her reaction had not come from that single moment alone. For years, she had quietly carried the feeling that she would always be measured against others, and that no matter how much she gave, a part of the family would never fully embrace her. Standing near William, the future of the crown made flesh, reportedly stirred an insecurity she had long tried to hide. Charles reportedly understood that this pain had been building for a long time, but he also knew it could not excuse what had happened. Personal feelings, he reportedly believed, could never be allowed to damage the reputation of the crown. There was another reason he found the situation so serious. William was not simply his son, he was the future of the monarchy, and the household had come to see him as steady, principled, and deeply committed to duty, while others often found themselves surrounded by controversy. William reportedly focused on his responsibilities, supporting countless causes with quiet consistency. Even Charles had come to value his honest counsel, offered plainly even when the truth was difficult to hear. That reliability reportedly made the decision all the more painful. Looking directly at Camilla, Charles reportedly told her, quietly, that there was only one way to begin repairing the damage. Would Camilla set aside her pride and take the step Charles asked of her, or was another surprising turn still waiting behind closed palace doors? Stay tuned. The reconciliation. In the days after the confrontation, attention reportedly turned to Prince William as he carried out his next official engagement. It was his first public appearance since the clash, and people watched for any sign that the tension had shaken him. Yet William reportedly appeared exactly as he always had, greeting people warmly, focused entirely on his duties, never hinting at the storm behind palace walls. That composure only sharpened the contrast. Camilla, meanwhile, reportedly remained out of sight, her absence from several arrangements quietly catching attention. The palace made only small adjustments to the schedule without explanation, but the changes were enough to convince many observers that something significant had occurred. Inside the household, staff reportedly became unusually careful, and the silence itself became part of the story. King Charles reportedly knew the situation could not be allowed to worsen. Public appearances could restore confidence, but only one thing could begin to heal the divide. Camilla needed to speak with William directly. The meeting was reportedly arranged in a smaller reception room with no advisors and no audience. Charles wanted the conversation to be honest and impossible to avoid. As William quietly entered, he reportedly showed no sign of triumph and no desire to remind anyone of what had happened. His only concern was protecting the dignity of the family. Camilla reportedly looked uncomfortable, searching for words that did not come easily. Pride had carried her through many difficult moments, but pride offered no protection now. After a long silence, she reportedly began to speak. With a quiet, uncertain voice, Camilla admitted that she had allowed her emotions to cloud her judgment. She acknowledged that challenging William in front of staff had been wrong, and accepted that her actions had reflected poorly on the institution they both served. She reportedly confessed that years of feeling compared to others had built up inside her until they surfaced in a single moment she deeply regretted. William reportedly listened without interrupting. He never demanded further explanation and never tried to make her feel smaller. When the apology ended, he reportedly accepted it calmly, reminding her that personal disagreements should never be allowed to overshadow the shared duty they carried. Respect, he reportedly said, is earned through restraint, especially in difficult moments. Charles reportedly watched the exchange in silence before quietly confirming that this reconciliation was about far more than ending an argument. It was about restoring trust, rebuilding unity, and reminding everyone that no individual, regardless of title, could place personal emotion above the responsibility of serving the crown. So, what do you think of King Charles's quiet but decisive handling of this reported clash between William and Camilla? Was he right to stand where he did? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe.